What's up, everybody, and welcome to Growing Up Gaming, your weekly podcast where we meet a new person of the internet to discuss their childhood with gaming and how it inspired their lives today. My name is Mitch Power. Again, thank you guys so much for returning each and every week to the show. I'm sure you've subscribed on iTunes or Google Play or Sean Capri on Twitter at Sean Capri. Probably said, hey, you should listen to this guy's show, and maybe you did it that way. So if you did, I appreciate that. But this week we have our guest. His name is Brian Brocato. I met him on Twitter with the help of Sean Capri. He actually is on a podcast with a former host, Chris, that I had just a couple of episodes back. So he decided to come on and share his stories with us, just like any one of you guys can. If any of you guys want to be on the show, go ahead and send me a tweet at MitchPower1116 on Twitter or at the podcast Twitter page, which is at GUG Podcast. Without further ado, let's get things started with Brian Brocato. Do you remember what got you started playing games? Was it a family member, friend? Did you go to a store and see a kiosk? Do you remember what initially got you started?
Well, yeah, I do actually. I think the real first memory I had of gaming was like there's a Christmas party that my parents and everybody was at, like some obscure relative's house. You know how that is, like your aunt's uncle's cousin's brother.
Yeah, your mom's cousin's aunt's third cousin removed brother, next door neighbor. Somebody
that apparently everybody but you knew.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically.
That like super distant family. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And, me being like 6 or 7, it was a bunch of adults, drinking their non-alcoholic beverages.
Sure.
Quotations.
Sure.
And
we'll go with that.
They happened to have a Super Nintendo, and they had Super Mario Brothers on it. So I sat down and started messing around with it. I was horrible, still pretty bad, but I was pretty horrible at it. But I still really enjoyed it. I remember bouncing around on Yoshi's back and stuff, and it kind of got me addicted. And I think that Christmas I ended up getting a Nintendo. It's weird. My first experience with a Super Nintendo, but then I went backwards and got a Nintendo first.
But I mean, also too, it just depends on, your parents and like what they wanted to go with. I mean, it's crazy because by the time, like Super was out, I'm sure that other people were getting rid of their Nintendo super cheap, or the original Nintendo was on some sort of awesome sale or bundle or something, just trying to get rid of those. So,
yeah, very practical,
Yeah, exactly.
Like, hey, latest and greatest is always latest and greatest price too. So
exactly.
I'm pretty sure they found it like a yard sale or something, and it had like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on it. Was one of the first games I got to play.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that at all, because that's pretty awesome. Like, nothing wrong
Between
with
that and Ninja Gaiden, I was set.
Yeah, and it's funny because I remember, and it doesn't make sense to me now, but for whatever reason, I remember, garage sales were big when, my dad would go to some garage sale and be like, oh, I picked this up for like $5. And you're just like, oh, that's cool, Dad. But I remember like people used to sell like lots of Nintendo stuff. So like there would be like an NES with like 30 games. For whatever reason, there was like 9 controllers, and I never understood why. 'Cause
yeah.
It's like, why?
You only need it 2.
Yeah, it plugs in 2. You don't even have the adapter to plug in more than 2. Why do you have 9? And then later you find out, oh, this A button's kind of shitty. This D-pad doesn't work as much. But they didn't care, because it's not like they threw them away. They just threw them all in a box with it. And then it had like 6 guns and somehow 2 copies of Mario Duck Hunt, even though there was 1 console. Like, I just never understood some of those lots sometimes. Like, you had those weird just garage sale lots. And of course, they were just trying to get rid of it because they had the Super and that thing was collecting dust and they didn't care. So I'm right there with you,
I
man.
think the Wii is like the new one. Seeing all the random Wii stuff in a yard sale.
You are absolutely right. It's crazy, but you're absolutely right, because now it's exactly that. The Wii is like, cool, man. I got a Wii. I got like 2 Wii remotes. I got like 1 Play Motion Plus. I got a Wii Fit board. I got like Like, what else, dude? Just random accessories.
Like 5 nunchucks.
Yeah, I got 5
Why do I have 5 nunchucks?
I have the bowling ball attachment you put the Wii controller into. I got the gun for Cabela's, and you're just like, what is this? Because there was just a billion accessories for the Wii, and some of them were highly unnecessary. But, dude, if you got people to pay $15 for chunks of plastic that looked like a bat or a tennis racket, go for it.
Yeah, right? That was my thing, was the tennis racket. What the heck did you need the tennis racket accessory for? You're literally swinging the controller.
Dude, it's authenticity, man. It's the weight of the handle. It's the weight of the
experience.
The experience, bro. Like, you gonna look like some punk swinging just a controller, or are you gonna swing a tennis racket like a man? I bet you that was the tagline. It's like,
it just makes you think of like Leonard from Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, swing a racket like a man, not like some baby holding a controller. Like, yeah, that's exactly what I wanted. I used to work at Best Buy, and I remember the Wii, like, when people would come in and buy a Wii, it was always those accessories. Like, people would come in and just be like, oh, do I need this? I'm like, no. Like, you sure as hell
do you want it?
Do you want it? Does Timmy right there want to swing a golf club? Then you could do this. The one that I completely was baffled by was the bowling ball. I was like, this is outrageous. You're really putting a Wii remote in a bowling ball. But there was a ton of those dumb accessories, but I mean, whatever, right? Again, Nintendo didn't care. Nintendo at least was nice enough not to whore themselves out for that garbage. Like, they did the they did the official stuff. They had the Wii Fit board, which again, I get. They had their own game. That's cool. But at least they didn't have, like, official Nintendo tennis rackets. You know what I mean? Thankfully. Like,
yeah.
They didn't go that far.
Or like the Switch Now with the wheels for the Joy-Cons.
Yeah.
I don't think they're... Oh, wait, they actually do have it.
No, I think they do have
Nintendo
official ones. And, I mean, again, like, I guess, okay, you know, like, the Wii...
I kind of get it.
The Wii, well, in a way, like, the Wii one, I thought made a bit more sense only because it seemed bigger. So, like, having a bigger size, like, wheel in your hand made more sense. But the fact that the Joy-Cons aren't that big, so it's like, I don't know. But I haven't even played Mario Kart like that.
I'd have to say, you know, I have decently sized hands. I think that little, like, 2 or 3 inches of space actually helps out quite a bit.
Does it?
Yeah, I worked at GameStop for a while, and one of our guys, of course, bought a Switch and would bring it into work. So we'd play with it every once in a while when it was slow.
Yeah, that works. That's like by the way, that's like the best thing in the world to bring when work's slow. You're just like, hey, I got a Switch.
Oh yeah,
nothing wrong with
that. Like, hey, you wanna play the sword catch game on 1-2 Switch?
Yeah, what's funny is, like, I have a Switch. And I just have obviously the Nintendo exclusives, Mario, Zelda, Mario Kart, Splatoon. And, of course. But I've used it 99% of the time as a home console, and also 99% of the time with a Pro controller. I really haven't done the whole, like, let's take it elsewhere and play with it that much. Certain games, like I was playing, I go into an office, like I work from home, but I go into an office on occasion. And when Odyssey came out, I took the Switch with me there, in between, you know, working or whatever. I was just playing Mario. And dude, that game you cannot play with the damn Joy-Cons attached to the console. Like, it was not made for that. Like,
I can't imagine someone doing that.
Dude, like trying to swing, like, Mario's hat around, like throwing the damn Switch around. You're like, no, I can't. I had to take the Joy-Cons off. And I was holding them just, like, separately in my hand, trying to do it. And I'm just like, I was like, I couldn't play it. I was like, I gotta stop. I can't do this. I have to, like, I'll just play it at home with my Pro controller where it's, like, considerably better. It was just so odd and everything. But yeah, you're right. The Wii is 100% turned into that console, though, for garage sales. Like,
I mean, you know how the Wii had that whole, like, TV screen break thing where, like, people were breaking their TVs? I can't imagine, like, the horror of forgetting that your Joy-Cons are attached to the Switch when you're trying to do stuff.
Yeah.
Like just watching your console go flying.
Yeah, exactly. Like trying to do the motion controls for Mario, dude. No way. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, it was the game that was weird because it felt like it didn't force you to do motion controls at all. However, not doing them, I felt at such a disadvantage. Like, doing the motion controls for that game were, I'm not going to say necessary, but considerably helpful. And again,
felt like a really important part of the game.
Yeah, I mean, like, just doing certain things while running, like, you could just, throw the controllers to the left or right, and it would just throw the hat. And I'm like, man, that's way easier than, like, trying to stop and, like, do this and this. I'm like, man, this is way easier, just a flick of the wrist to do this. But I'm like, dude, you can't play this shit when it's attached to the Switch. Like, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to throw my thing to the left and then just throw a Switch out of my hand. Like, no, thank you. That's why I, like, propped it up. I held the Joy-Cons in my hand separate. But, and then also the grip for the Joy-Con, it's cool. But again, you got big ass hands. It's just too close together. And the Pro Controller is, like, pretty much perfect. Like, it really is. Like, that is the way to play. It's, at least if you're going to play it, obviously if you're a portable, I would do. My son took the Switch in the other room one day, propped open the kickstand, and laid on the floor playing Zelda, but play with the Pro Controller. I'm like,
yeah, I've heard that this Pro Controller, this version, is like more comfortable than even the Xbox controller, which I've always thought is like one of the most ergonomic ones you could find.
It's almost, I still prefer the Xbox One controller a bit better, but it's pretty much identical. Like, it's pretty much identical. Like, it's really good. Also, the battery life on that thing is not a joke. It is long as hell.
Really?
It is super long, and I applaud Nintendo for it. Like, again, like, it's basically, they were just like, yeah, we'll have all this weird motion shit, and even the Pro Controller has the motion stuff in it built in, but they're like, you don't want to play with these little itty-bitty things, here's a normal controller, and, it's not like the Wii where, like, you were begging for games to use the classic controller, and then it didn't, and you were just like, shit. Like, this
like,
sucks. Everything
was motion.
Yeah.
Friggin' Skyward Sword with the awkward poking the sword and everything.
Yeah, that was fun, right? That made that experience so much better. Speaking of, like, nostalgia, that's the saddest thing is, like, some of those games, like, the motion controls, like, think about this, like, Wii games, unless they go back and retrofit games to work with a normal controller, like, those aren't going to be on, like, a virtual console type of deal. You know what I mean? That
no.
kind of sucks. Like, but...
Like the Wii Sports and all that.
Yeah, I mean, of course, like, Switch, you could do that with Joy-Cons, I guess, but... It's just, that's the one thing, though, is, like, if it has motion controls and then you try to go to a system that just straight doesn't have those, good luck, because you're not going to be able to play any of those shit, so. That's alright. Again, Nintendo will figure it out. They'll sell you some adapter that works with your Wii remotes for the Switch,
Oh, yeah.
Nintendo likes adapters.
They're masterminds on that.
Yeah. It's okay. They'll make the GameCube control. I love the fact that they had no qualms about GameCube controller adapter. They were like, we get it. Here you go. Like, we know you love the Switch, you love the Wavebirds, and you love your shit. Here you go. Here's an adapter. Make sure you pay us $40. And everybody was like, we love you, Nintendo. Of course we will. So,
that was definitely one of the better controllers they've come up with in recent times.
Right. Like, literally, Wavebird was great, but also just for Smash. For Smash, it was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
It was, like, the perfect controller. But yeah,
C-Stick was great.
It was so good, right? But now, again, like, they made the Pro Controller, and I'm like, you know what? You guys can keep doing that motion shit if you want to. I'll stick with this thing. This thing's kind of cool. So, again, at least Nintendo got their shit together, and now they're not like, oh, well, this game can use the classic controller, but this one has to use motion controls. Like, for the most part, most of the games are like, no, the buttons are the same. Like, the Joy-Con buttons, the Pro Controller buttons, they're all pretty much the same. You could do the motion stuff if you want to. But also, too, there's games like 1-2 Switch where you have to do the motion stuff. Like, you
really have to use this.
Like, it's a motion game. Right, yeah, you have to use the Joy-Cons. Like, I don't think it gives you options of playing that with a Pro Controller. That'd be awkward to, like, hold that in your hand doing a yoga pose or some shit. Like, can't really hold that in your hand, like, it really steady.
Oh, man.
That's the one game, like, I didn't play it because it looked ridiculous, but then I've seen some Let's Plays, and I'm like, I wish I could.
They're pretty fun.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that'd be a cool party game. Again, that seems like the game you would have some alcoholic beverages and enjoy yourself and then play that. That seems like that type of game, but...
That's how you should really roll with those kinds of party games.
Yeah, exactly.
Who doesn't play Mario Party drunk?
Yeah, that was quite a thing, Mario Party drunk. I played drinking games with Smash, where if you got knocked off, you had a drink. And then I had buddies that were just jumping off on purpose. I was like, you piece of shit. Like, you can't do that.
That's horrible.
Cheating. But they're just like,
It's terrifying.
They're like,
I can't imagine how wasted you could get off of that.
Oh, dude, I got completely wasted. And I was like, all right, pass the controller so you don't die in my house. That'd be wonderful. Thank you. But yeah, I mean, see, those are those tangents I was talking about that will go on, but
Oh, yeah, man.
that's fine.
I ain't worried about it.
Exactly. So then, obviously, tying back, you got an NES. Did you actually have, like, siblings that played with you, or did your parents ever play any games with you or anything?
See, my father is significantly older than my mother, so he wasn't exactly into those kinds of things. He was more straight, go to work, come home, relax, watch TV, watch the news, yell at the TV kind of thing. And my mom's coordination isn't the best, so she didn't really ever mess with it either. My little sister, though, like, initially, no. I think later on in our years, when we started going to, like, middle school and stuff, she got a little more into the video games, and we would play each other occasionally. And we just kind of, like, diverged into, I went into RPGs and all that kind of stuff, and she started playing, the heck is it called? RuneScape, the browser game.
Right.
Yeah, she plays the crap out of that to this day. And I've, more evolved my taste, I guess, into a little bit of everything.
Right. So then would she play, did you guys ever play any games co-op together or anything? Or was she to a point where she was just like, nah, I'm going to chill on this RuneScape?
Not really any co-op games. We would play like, Rush 2049 together every once in a while, that racing game for the 64.
Right.
And there was a couple of times, we had the special edition Donkey Kong 64,
the green
Nintendo
one, the
64.
Clear green one.
Yeah, the green one.
I had
it
the
came with the
exact same
expansion
one.
pack.
Yep.
Yeah, man, that thing was sweet.
It was sweet.
And she sat back and oh man, you missed a banana over here, and oh, watch out for Diddy Kong and all that kind of stuff.
That's cool. At least she was
like my
engaged.
coach.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's really cool too. At least she was engaged with you, like trying to like help you out and stuff like that. Cause I mean, I know some brothers and sisters who would like play games together. Brothers would play Contra together, but then there was like the person who kind of just hung out and was just like, hey, do that. Hey, do that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, hey, to like just try to help direct people and stuff. But like, there's still people that to this day. I mean, there are, significant others of my friends who they don't necessarily play games, but if it's a game like The Walking Dead or something, they'll like try to throw input of like where the story should go and that type of stuff. So, I mean, as long as they're engaged with it though, I mean, that's still fun. It also depends too, because if you have an annoying ass sister, you're like, shut up, I got it. Or you can be happy.
Get out of here.
Yeah. Hey, I got it. Mind your business. Go somewhere. But no, then you got, you guys, sometimes you have cool little siblings and you're like, yeah, you can come hang out. That's cool. That's what I hope for my kids.
I think I became more of the voice in the background later on with my friends.
Oh, really?
Because like I was that for my buddy Chris, who we have the show together. I would be he called me his autocon because I would watch him play like Metal Gear and I'm like, bro, you missed there's some items over there. And, dude, watch out. There's a guy coming up on that block. And, because it was kind of fun being like that, not trying to be a backseat driver, but assisting a little bit and being involved in the game in your own way, even though it's a single player thing.
Right. I was going to say, because that's kind of the problem is that especially if there's an awesome single player game that's out, because like if you go to a buddy's house, especially for like an all-nighter or just hanging out, staying the night at their house, and they want to play like Resident Evil or Metal Gear or single player games, you're just kind of like, all right, you could either choose to
beer.
Yeah, exactly. You could either choose to just do something else or do, like you said, the backseat gamer driver, where you could just be like, hey, do this. But no, I mean, that's still cool as well. I mean, I remember doing that with Resident Evil quite a bit. Like, we would take turns and just like pass the controller back and forth, but then like when the other person wasn't playing, they were always like, bro, hey, miss this, hey, there's some ammo in there, or do this, like, and there's still fun stuff in there too, but again, it just depends on who it is, I guess, too. Because if my sisters were trying to tell me what to do, I'd be like, Michelle, stop, I got it, I'm good, I don't need your help. But and my buddies are doing it, it was cool. So, and then so obviously, like you mentioned, Chris is kind of your buddy and everything. Did you guys grow up together, or like did you have like a core group of friends that you played games with?
Well, I had a friend a long time ago who we kind of did the growing up together thing for a while, and then, you know, we went our separate ways. Chris is a unique story. We met in college. We were literally started the same semester in culinary school together. And for a good month and a half, you know, we'd hang out at school and like talk and stuff without realizing that we were literally living in the same apartment complex, not but like 50 feet from each other pretty much.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, started hitching rides and hang out at his place and have crazy Walmart runs. There was one run where we went and they, you know, Walmart had those like 3 foot long subs.
Yes.
There were like 80% bread and like 3 slices of cheese and 1 piece of meat.
And they were like,
I ended up buying one of those. Yeah, like they were like $2. I ended up buying one of those one night, and we all went to his house. And I spent the whole night while we were like playing video games and watching anime and stuff. I ate that whole sandwich, and it was just one of those weird experiences where we were just screwing around all night, like watching anime. I forget what game we were playing too, but it was hilarious. And you know, we've known each other ever since. I think we're going on, you know, about 10 years, 11 years almost of, you know, hanging out and playing video games and stuff.
Which, I mean, is pretty much the same length as some of the friends you had when you were growing up and everything too, though. Because, I mean, eventually you get to a point where, you know, either somebody goes to a different middle school or a different high school, or somebody goes to a different college, or somebody moves away. Like, I mean, that's pretty much the same typical length of a friendship. But, dude, I remember those Walmart runs, because when you're not old enough to do bars or, you know, like
yeah, right.
Yeah, like you're not old enough to go to like R-rated movies, but you're old enough to have a driver's license. You're like, what do we do? Dude, let's go to Walmart and go buy something. And you would just spend, you know, again, 24-hour Walmarts. Half the people that are in there are either like people just getting off work, like super late in the middle of the night, you know, and just trying to get some stuff, or you'd see that dad who's like running, trying to get medicine for their kid who's throwing up at their house or whatever. And then you see all these punk ass kids who are just running around, just like messing with shit in Walmart. So
yeah, it's literally like the the misfit toys of people running around in Walmart at like 3 a.m.
Yeah, basically. And then of course you try to get food, and you try to get, you know, everybody's, I'm sure they have certain aisles that they look at all night, and I'm sure some of those are just like the chip aisle, the soda aisle, just because, like, I'm sure people are just like, I just want food. And of course you had the drunks coming in from the bar who just wanted, you know, whatever. It's just like, man, like
any random assortment of things.
Yeah, I imagine there could be a podcast of people who just like do a podcast of just the crazy shit people who worked overnights at Walmart have seen. I'm sure that could be successful. I never worked at Walmart, so I can't do it. So,
oh man, they could treat it like crime dramas, like the Tales of Walmart,
the
3 a.m. edition.
Yeah, exactly. And then you have some Who song, because every CSI used a Who song, so you got to find a Who song.
That's true.
And then, yeah, exactly. And then you have to have some dramatic music and dramatic zooms and reenactments. Like, it could work, man.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Tales from
like,
the ER.
When they found out he wasn't wearing any pants.
Oh. Dude, it's just yeah, exactly. Like, but I remember one time going out to Walmart to get something for games, because I think like my controller broke or something, and I was just like, oh no, what do we do? I'm like, to Walmart. They're open 24/7. And then the worst thing is, like, in the electronics section, you had to find the one dude who had a key. And it's just like,
oh yeah,
wherever he was in the store, because God forbid he wasn't doing his job either. There's just someone else in the front of the store who's got the key. You're like, I need a controller so I can get home and continue to play Mortal Kombat, please. Thank you. You know, I remember those fun nights too, though. So
there's a couple like that with us as well.
Yeah, I mean, again, the Walmart trips, especially again when you're younger, but then you get older and you're like, I don't need to go to Walmart. I can do other fun things. So that's all right. But again, that's part of that growing up.
Finding a 24-hour Subway. It's the best thing college.
Dude, 24-hour Subway. There was a drive-through Subway that got like built recently, and I'm like,
oh man,
a drive-through Subway.
How do you make Subway better? You make it so that you never have to leave your car.
But I'm like, dude, the part of it though is like when you tell them, I want a little bit of that, I want a little bit of this, I want a lot of that, and I mean, it's like. Usually when they're in front of you, they're like making the sandwich. You're like, is this enough? Yes, that's enough. It's like, how do you do that during the drive-thru? But
it's like a crapshoot.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I want a little of this, and then you get it, and there's like barely any. You're like, God damn it, I should have went in. Like this sucks.
So you mess around and like, I just want light meat, and you turn around and get one slice of pepperoni spread out over the whole sandwich.
They just cut it in pieces and just slightly fry it over that. Yeah, exactly. So that's the only problem with like drive-through places like that. You're like, shit, I should have went in. But it's all right. I mean, again, everybody has those fun memories of late night. Dude, a 24-hour Subway, though, that seems legit.
There was many a night where we were like, dude, are you hungry? Yeah, I'm hungry. Do we have anything in the fridge? No. Fuck.
There's Subway.
Let's go to Subway.
Yeah, that's just first thing in the head. There's Subway. So that always works. So as far as it goes, so then So did you continue down the Nintendo route? Because it kind of sounds like you did. So you had a Nintendo. Did you ever go to Super Nintendo at all?
Yeah, I tried Super Nintendo, bought a Nintendo, then we picked up a Super Nintendo. Mega Man X is the bomb. It's one of my favorite, along with Super Mario RPG.
Right.
I mean, come on. It's classics. That's why they're on the Super Nintendo Classic.
Exactly, yeah. You know what good games were on the Super Nintendo? Go look at the Classic. That's how you know.
Yeah, right. It's all of them that are on there.
Right.
But then we got a Nintendo 64.
And you got the cool Donkey Kong one, the clear green one with the expansion pack. What's funny is I remember did you ever dabble in like Sega at all, like Genesis or anything? Did you ever have any buddies that had that?
The only time I did was I ended up borrowing a friend's Game Gear, you know, that freaking huge battery-eating monster of a portable handheld system.
Right.
And I played Sonic, and that was about it on that.
You're like, that's enough of that. Dude, that thing, it's so weird, and it sucks because, like, that thing at the time was so advanced. Backlit screen, color screen.
Oh, yeah.
Like, games were just crazy compared to Game Boy at the time. But you had 6 AA's that lasted you all of, like, 37 minutes or some ridiculous.
Oh my God.
It was the worst.
You didn't have like a power charger. It was the worst investment of all time. You'd be back buying like an $8 pack of batteries, like at least twice a week.
Yeah. Like, and also too, you like loved anybody who brought you just a case of batteries like from like Sam's Club or whatever. You'd be like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. I got this. I got a Game Gear. But you know, it was better than, you know, what's funny too though is like Game Boy, because I mean, Game Boy didn't have the backlit screen, of course, when it first had, you know, the color and all that, didn't have the backlit screen. But what was funny is you either had two options. You were either that person who found the light, like the right light to like play it, or you had that transformer that was like on top of your thing that like attached to the Game Boy.
With the reading light.
With the reading light, with the magnifier, with the battery pack, with the thing for the buttons, like, dude, you could turn a portable game console into fucking Megatron. You're just like,
oh
what
man,
is this thing?
I had one of those. I totally forgot about that. Those things were huge.
Yeah, they didn't make your console portable at all. Like, that was like, you had a case for it that you carry around like a satchel. You'd be like, what is in that? Oh, it's a Game Boy. Like, cause you can't put that shit in your pocket. It's way too big.
They'll walk around looking like the Unabomber just trying to play some Mario.
Be like, sir, don't judge me. I just want to play Zelda. Is that a problem? Like, I'm so sorry. So there's no bomb in here. But no, like, that was the thing is I remember Game Boys just turning into these fucking freak show accessory like fests where they just had all these things attached to them. Whereas Game Gear, it was just really big from the beginning, but then it just ate batteries. Like, it was cool, but like, had rechargeable batteries been a thing back then, like, let me rephrase that, more of a thing back then, it would have been considerably better. But then, you know, yeah,
Absolutely.
You had the power pack. I remember I was so blown away by this. I never had it, but I remember just reading it in magazines. There was a TV tuner that they sold for the Game Gear. Like,
what?
It went in the game cartridge slot, and it had a fucking antenna like a TV did, and on the top it had like a dial, like an old school like radio dial almost.
Oh my God.
But it picked up TV
Insane.
stations, and you're like, huh? I could watch TV on this thing on the go? But then you think about it, and you're like, dude, if I'm moving in a car and I got some bullshit signal, I'd want my mom to turn around and be like, Mom, I didn't finish watching that. Turn back. Like, it was just so
Like, you mess
odd.
around, one channel in one area would be like the news, and the next channel would be like some adult channel
Yeah,
when you're
exactly,
12 years
right.
old.
You'd be watching, it'd just be the worst shit ever. It'd be like, so you go from cartoons to just like ultra violent. 45 people were killed today in the mall. Here's the video surveillance.
Oh my
Like,
God,
Jesus
Mom,
Christ.
turn it off. Make it stop. Make me forget.
Mom, I was watching Bobby's World, and then it turned into a mass murder in a mall. Like,
Bobby's World.
yes.
Oh,
Bobby's
man.
World.
That was, good God, that kid's tricycle was, or it was a big wheel. It was a big wheel.
Yes. Yes. Dude,
Oh.
there's that, again, now it doesn't exist because now you have 24-hour channels that have cartoons on them, so nobody gives a shit about Saturday morning cartoons anymore, but it was like video games and Saturday morning cartoons were the truth, man.
Oh, dude, that was when you used to watch, that was when Pokemon came on.
Yep.
Saturday morning. And Sonic.
Yep.
And like any number of other classic TV shows.
Dude, I remember watching Beetlejuice, Real Ghostbusters, Power Rangers.
Beetlejuice.
Yeah,
And
Beetlejuice.
Oh my God. Yes.
Beetlejuice was a cartoon. People forget that shit was cool. That shit was awesome.
It was also pretty terrifying, I remember.
I love the fact that back then, like, cartoons, and it's the same with games as well, because, like, games were, like, I'm not going to say they were more graphic or anything, but, like, dude, some cartoons, like the Ren and Stimpy cartoon, like, you go look at Ren and Stimpy now, you're like, holy shit, this was on Nickelodeon. Like, this was aimed at
they had
kids.
they had a nude episode where Homeboy was walking around with a sensor bar around.
And then there's, like,
I remember that.
And then there's like Rocko's Modern Life where he was a phone sex operator one time. I'm like, dude, this was on Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
What happened? Like what? But again, games are the same way. There were some games that just had ridiculous shit in them before Mortal Kombat made the rating system happen. There was like all sorts of crazy shit that used to be in games because moms didn't care. They're like, it's just a video game until Mortal Kombat showed you ripping parts out of people and then that shit changed. But yeah, it's all right.
Oh yeah, and Doom that apparently bred serial killers, but didn't bred serial killers.
Of course, because if you played Doom, you liked the devil, you liked metal music, and you liked murdering people in mass quantities. Because you obviously
that's obviously what that game did to you.
Obviously, you didn't play Doom because if you did, we'd be talking from jail. But you know, it's okay.
Obviously,
it's fucking stupid. It's the stupidest thing. Like my mom got so concerned when I watched Power Rangers. She's like, "Oh my God, it's so violent." I'm like, "Mom, I know when I don't kick people, they don't fucking have fireworks come out of their chest. I know this isn't real. Like, none of this is real, like, Mom. I get it.
There's superheroes beating bad guys.
Yeah.
It's been this way since Robin Hood.
Yeah.
You can calm down."
And last time I checked, I can't transform into the size of buildings and tear apart building structures, Mom. I get it. We're good. Like,
not that I wouldn't love that feature.
Right. Where's that pill? Where's that, Mom, where's that pill I can take? So I could grow the size of skyscrapers and beat up robots. Where's that shit at, right? That's fine. So what's funny though too is like with the violent games too, like Genesis, that's where they were like blood and like all that shit. So you didn't get a chance to play much of those games because I'm sorry, but Mortal Kombat on Genesis was far better than the Super Nintendo version.
Right. But then I started playing GoldenEye on the Nintendo 64 and Soul Calibur.
Exactly.
So, or excuse me, it was Soul Edge first, and then it became Soul Calibur.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like that's the other thing too is like it's so weird because there were multi-platform games that obviously were on both, but then like each system had so many more unique like specific for that. Cause you know, for example, like GoldenEye. I get that GoldenEye wasn't on PlayStation or any other consoles, but the fact that like that, like, I'm trying to think of another example. Like the one I always bring up is the wrestling games, right? Is like WWE games or, you know, WCW games were made by the same company, but like two different studios like made the games. So like, yeah, they were owned by the same company, the license was, but then two different entire studios made the 64 games, and then the other people made the PlayStation games. And there was just such a vast difference in those games. But like, yeah, games like GoldenEye just, I don't know, for 64, it was just perfect. And you never really got shit like that on PlayStation, really.
A series that really comes to mind is that a lot of the Star Wars games were on the 64.
Yeah, they were.
And they only started branching out towards the next generation of consoles.
Right. And that bummed me out as a Star Wars fan because I had PlayStation for the most part. And like the Star Wars games on PlayStation were kind of trash. Like they weren't really good.
Oh man. Like, man. Rogue Squadron was the bomb.
Yeah. All those were cool.
Getting to fly a Naboo starfighter around. That was great.
Yeah. You know what I got? That fucking terrible fighting game that you had to play. Yeah. I remember being so stoked. I was like, this game is going to be awesome. And then I played a demo, and I was like, oh no. Like, this is not good.
It's so bad.
It's just not a good game. And, yeah, I mean, that was the other thing, too, is thankfully around that time, at least for PlayStation, demo discs were probably the greatest invention ever at the time. Because you at least got to try a bunch of games. I remember, you know, of course, the infamous Pizza Hut demo, which was awesome. Dude, Pizza Hut demo disc had like Tony Hawk, Metal Gear 1, like it was fucking awesome. It was so good. And I was like, this has no right to come with pizza, but it did. And I'm happy it did.
I mean, can we take a moment and reflect on Burger King releasing the Sneak Thief and all those kinds of games with the freaking Burger King in it?
And surprisingly, like some of those games aren't trash, which is crazy. Like apparently some people play those and go, you know what, that game's not bad. And you're like, really? A game costs you $3 with a Whopper. Are you sure? And they're like,
right.
No, it's actually kind of good. But yeah, that shit doesn't happen anymore, which again, it's just, you know, people don't want to take risks anymore. But the fact that like Sneak King became backward compatible is like, what the fuck? Like, that's backward compatible on Xbox. Game. Yeah, exactly. Because people were like asking for it. They were like, no, real quick, Sneak King's kind of cool. Like I dismissed them so hard. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. They made Burger King video games? No, thank you. And then it was like people were like, actually, dude, they're not bad. And
you'd be amazed some of the video games. You got to go through like to really find them. You have to go through the mom and pops and find all the used games there.
Yeah,
there was like a Triple X extreme bicycling game for the original Xbox.
I remember that game.
What?
I remember, there was that. There was the Guy game, which was quickly pulled off shelves because it involved an underage person. There's all these random ass games, but I remember like Sneak King. If you worked at a GameStop or a Game Crazy or anything like that, there were so many copies of those games because people eventually was like, yeah, I don't want this anymore. And of course they'd get like a nickel for it. And they would be like, that's worth it. Like they don't care. There's like,
I mean, they got it pretty much for free.
Right. It's just like, I bought a Whopper. You want a video game for like $5 more? Sure. Why not?
That another one was the Connect Adventures. There's so many copies of that.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, the funny thing is, and that ties back to like basically all of gaming. All of the bundle games that come with consoles are just flooding game stores. Like flood. And my favorite thing is with Sonic and the Genesis, it said not for resale on the front of it. For the longest time, I thought that meant, I thought that was like the name. I was like, what is that? What is that? Why does it say not for resale? I don't get what that means. And then I realized, they're meaning not to trade in. But I've never seen one GameStop ever say, no, we can't take that, man. It says not for resale. Like, no one gives a fuck about that label. They're just like, nah, we'll take it. Don't worry about it. Because I worked at Game Crazy, and it was flooded. Like, the Xbox section was so flooded with Sega Rally Jet Set Radio Future combo pack, and then there was the I think it was Tetris, and then like Star Wars Clone Wars pack. Like it was the bundle games that would come with the Xbox, and like everybody for Christmas would get this like bundle that came with their Xbox, and then not give a shit about it and get rid of it so quickly. And that's always been the case, man. How many copies of Wii Sports are used? How many copies? I'm sure Nintendo Land for the Wii U got traded in so damn fast. You know what I mean? Like, it just, you get flooded with those types of games when they're just bundled with your system because nobody cares about them.
And that's the other one is the sports games that release every year. You always have a crap ton of the older years. And then it just gets to a point where, like, yeah, we just have to stop taking this year.
Yeah, like that always happened. I mean, it's funny because, like, if you didn't trade it in, like, immediately, like, you got nothing for it. And then, yeah, there was a point in time when I worked at Game Crazy, I think it was Madden 2000, was so stocked on PS2 that they were just like, no, like, we just are not fucking taking this. And, like, when they were still taking them, they were like, we will give you a dime, like 10 cents for this. And they're like, good. I'm like, what? You really just don't give a shit. But, yeah, I mean, like, I laugh hysterically when people, like, for example, on Craigslist or on Facebook or whatever, are trying to sell their game console, and they're like, comes with 10 games, and 5 of them are Madden games. I'm like, I don't want Madden.
Yeah, right.
I don't want any previous year of Madden except for the latest one that you have. Why would I want 04 when you have 05, 06, and 07? Like, that doesn't make any sense at all.
That's just the way some people think. They think they have a great deal going on when they themselves wouldn't even buy the older games.
Yeah, exactly. But
anymore, also,
the one thing I will say, though, is that even though we took in a lot of those older games, Game Crazy sold it for so cheap that, like, when people bought a PS2 or an Xbox or whatever, they would just straight pick that up as like why not? You know what I mean? Like, people would just pick it up because it was like $2.
Fill out the bookshelf.
Exactly. They were just like, I don't give a shit. I'll play a football game. I don't care if it's brand new. Like, they just wanted a football game, and it was like $2. Here you go. And they're like, thank you. I'll take it. But I sold a lot of copies of, like, those older sports games that way. Just like, I want a baseball, basketball, football, soccer, whatever. Just grab the old versions, and nobody gave a shit. And I was just like, cool, man. As long as you don't give a shit, who cares, right?
Those are typically the games when you have, like, the 4 for 10s. They're the fourth game.
Yeah.
To fill out the rest of it.
They sure are. They're that filler.
Why not?
They're like, fuck, I need another game. Madden 2000. I guess. Like, if I don't get this game, it's going to cost me like $9. I might as well just get this for this. And yeah, those 4 for 10 deals, man, you got to fill those out. I also love how GameStop and all the game stores got wised up when it was like, trade in any 3 games and get $5, and then people would just trade in 3 fucking copies of Madden, and they just didn't care because they're like 25 cents, 25 cents, 25 cents. Okay, add $5. They're like, yes. And there was always a scam, or always people scamming the system. You know, I'm gonna go buy all these used copies of this game for dirt cheap, and then go trade them in at GameStop for that promotion. Like, that happened all the time.
Oh, that's the new one. Is that last year GameStop was doing like the tiered percentage boosts. Like, bring in 2 games, get 20% back extra. Bring in 4 games, make it 40. Bring in 6 games or more, make it 60.
Right.
So people would bring all these crap games in and then have one good game that they wanted to get the extra credit for.
I've done that before as well. I did it with Microsoft Store, which sucks because there's only one where I live, which I'm bummed out about, and it's kind of far. But they were doing a promotion where they would give you a minimum $5 for any game you brought in. And
oh man,
yeah, and I had and the games I was trading in were good. They were just older. Like, I had Uncharted 1, and they were taking PlayStation games, which I was like, that's odd.
That's weird.
Yeah, right. But I was making sure. I was like, y'all sure? Okay, y'all, you guys know this doesn't work on Xbox, right? But I brought in Uncharted 1, which again is a fantastic game, but it's the first Uncharted, and it would trade it in for like $1 at anywhere I go to take it in. It would trade in for like $1, and they were like $5 minimum. I'm like, yes, absolutely. So I just brought in all those garbage ass games I held on to for way too long, and then I picked me up
make like $20 and pick up something good.
Exactly. I was like, yeah, I'll turn this around and buy an Xbox gift card and go buy some good shit. So that works. And I'm sure that happened back in the day as well with like people just bringing in all their truckloads of NES stuff. You know what I mean? Just like, I got 9 controllers. What can I get for these? Just
I gave you $2.
Yeah, I gave you $2. Sold. Because that's what we sold them at a garage sale for. So yeah, that happens as well. So you obviously were big into Nintendo. You did 64
for a while.
And then where did you lead from there? Did you actually go GameCube route, or did you buy a PS2 like everyone and their mother did?
Well, I got a PlayStation 1, and I played Legend of Dragoon.
Good game.
And I thought that was like the greatest thing since sliced bread. I mean, my second disc didn't work, but I still thought it was a great game. I'd literally just restart and do the first disc again.
Dude,
but
how shitty is that, by the way? 4 disc games,
yeah.
Disc 2 doesn't work, you're like, fuck.
It's heartbreak. Or like the worst, the 4th disc. It's like, what? I was so close to being done.
And you would go like rent it from somewhere so you can get a good 4th disc to like finish it or something.
Right.
Like, God.
Go Blockbuster it.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so I got a PlayStation 1 and we had a GameCube. And it was weird because the Xbox 360 or the Xbox came out. And that was a wrap. I was an Xbox guy from then on because I picked up Halo and Brute Force, that release game. And it was so much fun. I was like, yes, I have to stick with Xbox all the way. And I think what really screwed me over was that I played Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind Tribunal on the original Xbox. And that was so good.
Yeah, that was... during that time, that was the other thing too, where like each console started getting super specific shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like PS2 was obviously like the main console, but then like Xbox started getting PC ports that just straight weren't going to other shit. Like I remember them getting, Morrowind. They got Doom 3. They got Half-Life 2. Or no, not Half-Life 2, Half-Life. Maybe Half-Life 2.
That's true, they did. I remember that now.
Yeah.
And then they got Halo, which is crazy because that changed the way shooters were going.
Exactly. And it's just weird because like they were getting a lot of PC shit when Doom 3 never went to PlayStation or GameCube or anything. Like, and you know, the other games like Splinter Cell started on Xbox. Like it's crazy to think that but then also too, the same thing went around like, That was also the time when Xbox was getting super good RPGs because they had obviously Knights of the Old Republic, they had Jade Empire, Fable, like they were getting some good shit then. And then GameCube, of course, had their Nintendo classics, but then like all the Capcom shit was going to GameCube first. Like all the good fucking Capcom games, like Beautiful Joe, Killer 7, Resident Evil 4 was first on GameCube, and everybody's like, whoa, everybody was buying a GameCube for that. Like
it's crazy.
And then, of course, PS2 just had every Square game ever thought of. Like, let me rephrase that.
Oh, yeah.
Every good Square game. Because nobody wants Crystal Chronicles on GameCube. That shit sucked. Whatever. Everybody's like, no one wants this. Where's the good Square games? But yeah, that was like, I think, in my opinion, that was the console generation that, like, defined what type of gamer you preferred to be. Because, like, I was in the same boat with you. Like, when Xbox happened and I played Halo, especially System Link, it was a fucking wrap. I was like, this is amazing.
Oh, man. And then Halo 2 came out and you could play online.
Yeah, that online part, again, that literally right there cemented me as an Xbox fan forever. Because I was like, playing, all the new shit that Halo 2 brought to online gaming, like, you had clans that, okay, let me rephrase this, console gaming. I know people on PC are going to be like, put this game in it on PC first, whatever. They had clans, it had, proximity chat, which I was like, what? Like,
that's crazy. You're right next to you. Yeah, like, right. Oh, God, where'd he come from?
Exactly. I'm like, this is fucking insane. And then they had, like, of course, Xbox had their shit down with internet right from the beginning. And, again, like, that experience for me was the most defining experience for that generation. Like, some people are like, oh, GameCube and Smash. Like, that's their memory. Like, that's the system that generation, that's what they tied to. Or, I played PS2.
That's like all the GameCube had. But Smash Brothers and like 2 Zelda games.
It had the Nintendo games, but like I said, like the Capcom games were good. Also, too, Soul Calibur 2, everybody wanted the GameCube version because Link was in it, and nobody gave a fuck about Spawn.
Hey. Watch what you say.
Sir, if you had a choice.
Spawn was the bomb.
Sir, if you had a choice, people were like, I want Link. I don't want Spawn. I want Link. It just sucks because at the time, nobody, like, there wasn't an Xbox franchise that they could go to. So it was like, they had, I can't remember the dude's name from Tekken, but they had him in the PlayStation version. They had
Hitachi or whatever his name.
Exactly.
Hihachi. There you go.
They had Link. And then for Xbox, you were like, I wonder who you can get for that. And then Spawn, you're just like, okay. I mean, you're not tied to Xbox in any particular way, but I guess we'll go with that. But it just sucks because, like, Xbox didn't really have that character at that time that I think probably would have fit, like at least a Microsoft property. I mean, they didn't have anybody like that. I do like
no one really fit the bill, yeah.
Right, exactly. Because it's just like, not really, because, It's not like you had guns in Soul Calibur, because if you did, you could just throw Master Chief in that bitch. But yeah, I mean, like, that was the one thing they didn't really have a character, so I get what they had to do. But yeah, Xbox, as soon as the online happened, I literally was like, I think I'm Xbox forever. Like, I don't think I can go back, because this online's ridiculous. And it was good, 10 years, 15 years ago it was good? You know, like, it was amazing.
Things like, it's weird. I think the consoles really cycle around. Like, Xbox had its heyday, and then the Wii came out. And then PlayStation 3 came out, and then PlayStation 4 and Xbox One X is kind of like trying to push its way back up there until like the next console series and all that.
Yeah.
It's so weird watching them like evolve over time.
I think what it is too, though, is like, obviously they evolve, like different things happen, but also too, when you get cocky as fuck, you think you can do what you want, and then that backfires. Cause like, for example, PS2 sold 100 million consoles or whatever. So they were like, we're fucking PlayStation. We can do what we want. Here's a console that costs $600. And I was like, are you out of your goddamn mind?
Yeah.
We're not buying that. So then that backfired on them hard. Xbox, on their third console, they're like, we're Xbox. We're the best. Y'all like TV, right? And they're just like, oh, you don't? Oh, you don't like Kinect bundled it? Oh, fuck. And then they backfired, and now they're fighting back. Nintendo is the odd one, just because Nintendo tapped that market that's like, hey, grandma and grandpa, check this shit out. And then everyone and their mother bought a Wii. Like, that was the difference there. Like, they weren't trying to be, like, they were innovative in a way that they allowed everybody to play, but they were so easy to play that everyone wanted one. Like, that was almost like
they found that sweet spot where it's like, they're still very interesting games, but it's at a level where everybody can mess around with it at least a little.
Right.
And have fun.
Exactly. The only thing that backfired on them is they went too casual, and they were like, you guys like Wii Fit, right? They're like, well, no, we'd rather have another fucking Metroid game if you'd rather do that instead of Wii Fit or Wii Sports Rivals or fucking all the Wii Music. Yeah, that's exactly what we wanted. Wii Music. No, we wanted another fucking Zelda game. If you can get cracking on that, that'd be great. Like, that was the only problem with me when I had the Wii. I was like, all right, I don't give a shit about Wii U or Wii Fit. I don't care about these things. Like, Nintendo start putting, but again, Nintendo was printing money with that shit, so they didn't care. They were just like, and then again, they got cocky though with the Wii U, because they were just like, hey, we got this, and everybody was like, no. Like, no.
Initially it was like, okay, you mean I can play my games anywhere I want? Oh wait, I can play my games anywhere I want within like 50 feet of the console.
Dude, it wasn't even that, dude. It was like 5. Like, I took that bitch, like, I had the Wii U, I took it into my bedroom. It was in like my loft. I took the thing into my bedroom to try to play Mario, and it just like, failed connection. I'm like, are you kidding me right now? Like, I'm not that far away. And that was the problem with that console, is like, it was very ahead of its time, but the way they kind of advertised it is a way like, you could take it anywhere in your home, like within a certain distance, but that distance was not very far. And
they basically made a failed marketing attempt.
Yeah, and again,
I feel like they pretty much lied to their crowd too, which was strange for Nintendo to do, but I think they meant well, and I think it was more of like a proof of concept for the Switch.
Yeah.
Because the Switch, like, nailed it.
Oh, it's perfect. Like, that shit is advertised. It is as advertised. That shit, you could take that thing anywhere you want, and it works beautifully. Yeah, I think, like, with the Wii U, but again, I think Nintendo had that same kind of, like, cockiness. They're like, this thing will come out, and everybody will love it. And then, like, I remember the day it came out, my buddy Mike was like, I'm going to go buy one. I'm going to go wait in Walmart and go make sure I get one day one. And I'm like, all right, dude, whatever. Like, I'm not buying that shit. Like, you have fun. And then, like, he showed up to Walmart, and they're just like, yeah, we got him. There's no line. There's no crowd. They're just like, no, they're right there. Go ahead. And then I went into Best Buy that day, and there was fucking 20 of them. And I'm just like, wow. That's not common, is it? Brand new console comes out and they're just sitting on the shelf like that. No one gives a shit. Okay, then. So that was the only thing that was a bit like jarring. Like, oh, I think Nintendo caught the hint with that. Like, oh, oh shit, we messed up here. And then of course they
Yeah,
came
we
out with the
fucked up
Switch.
bad.
Yeah, they came out with the Switch, and now the Switch has sold more consoles in 1 year than the entire lifetime of the Wii U.
Mm-hmm.
So, Nintendo now, again, just Nintendo, don't be Nintendo, don't fuck this up. Just, you know.
I mean, look at the release titles. Like, there was literally more copies of Legend of Zelda owned than there were Switches.
Which is a little crazy. Which is just a bit insane. But I also think it was, of course, just those Nintendo fanboys who were like, I want this collector's version and then I want the other version. But again, if you made it cool enough and people bought it, who gives a shit, right? You sold them. That's all that matters.
Right. But it wasn't even just cool enough. It's one of the greatest games of all time.
Yeah.
And it came out with the console.
Yeah. And then less than a year later, Odyssey came out. And you're like, what in the fuck is life? This is ridiculous. Like, when was the last time 2 Nintendo games were nominees for Game of the Year in the same year? Like, I'll wait.
Like, I dare to say never.
Yeah.
I dare to say never.
It's insane. Like,
it's probably like a
really
random year, like when GoldenEye came out and some other shit.
Right, but I mean, I'm talking like most of the time Nintendo staggers their first party shit to where they don't have to compete with each other, but then they straight were just like, nah, we'll do it this year. But also, too, Nintendo is also in a mode right now where they could literally just take games that were on the Wii U, throw a deluxe tag on them, and sell another 5 million copies because Mario Kart Deluxe is amazing on the Switch. Like, it's fantastic. Oh, yeah. And it was good on the Wii U. The problem is, nobody fucking owned a Wii U to play it. So, now that you own a system that everybody likes, yeah, go release it.
It's like designed for the Switch, too.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Like, it feels like Mario Kart 8 should have just came out on the Switch.
Right. And of course, I'll just wait for Smash Brothers Deluxe because you know that shit is coming.
Oh.
You know it's coming.
Yes.
And of course, here's what they'll do. It'll come out, it'll have all the DLC, and then they're going to throw in like 2 new characters. You know, some obscure...
You'll be able to fight with Cappy.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like Cappy will be a character.
Exactly. Cappy will be... Yeah, Mario Cappy will be a character, just like how like Dr. Mario is a different character. Like, Cappy Mario will be a character. All those dumbass, like, whatever the hell they were, those like bunny rabbits from Odyssey, there'll be some like...
The rabbits.
Now. Yeah. By the way, that seems like a straight trademark infringement of the rabbits from Ubisoft. Like, you should... I know you worked with them, but you might want to owe them some money for that shit, because that seems like a blatant ripoff. They were just really big.
They might have just phoned it in and be like, hey, bro, this is happening. Yeah. Just let it happen.
Yeah, by the way, Ubisoft's making a game for us. We can steal their idea for this game. They can't say shit. I'm like, all right, we'll find out. So, obviously, nowadays... You went kind of like Xbox and everything, and like you just said, you kind of went Xbox from then on out. Did you ever, obviously you had a Wii. Did you ever go PlayStation at all? Did you ever own like a PS2, PS3, PS, anything like that?
I mean, I've owned all of them up to 3. So it's not like I just strictly stayed Xbox, because obviously there's still console exclusives and JRPGs and all that. And I'm probably going to get a 4 at some point. It's just that all the games that I like, why would I want to get them on the PlayStation? I already have an Xbox. You know?
Very true.
There's just like, you know, like Final Fantasy VII, for instance. It's going to release first on the PlayStation.
Right.
That's been very specific, which means they're probably going to release it on Xbox like months down the road later. And like, I can wait for that because they'll probably have ironed out all the bugs by then.
Right. And I mean, that's it. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of weird shit going on with like... The quote console exclusive is so muddled now because it's like we can't say legally it's console exclusive unless the first parties make it, right? Like,
oh man,
yeah, unless
Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, well, no,
let's just say Kingdom Hearts.
So Kingdom Hearts is the crazy one because when it got shown at that first E3 after all the consoles came out, because I was all Xbox One from day one, I was like, this is my console. I'll get a PlayStation because obviously I want to play the exclusives, but I'm not freaking out to get one. And then they showed the Kingdom Hearts trailer at the Sony conference, and I was like, fuck, because I'm such a nerd for Kingdom Hearts. I was like, god damn it, PS4, all right, I'll just buy it the day it comes out for Kingdom Hearts. And then literally like later that day, they had the press release, and it literally said like also coming on Xbox, and I'm like, what the fuck? And I was just like, all right, I'm happy. I don't have to buy a PlayStation. Obviously, I got a PS4, and there's a lot of good games and shit. Like, there's good games. But, yeah, nowadays, it's like, to consider yourself a gamer, you almost have to like, you really have to own everything just for the exclusives. But no, I'm right there with you. Like, if it comes out on all three, I have an Xbox One X. Sorry, I just didn't play it on that. It's amazing on that. Like,
I mean, Monster Hunter World, come on. Like,
Assassin's Creed
Origins. It just came out.
Good.
Jesus
Louises.
Don't get me started on Assassin's Creed Origins.
Good or bad?
Chris and I have had bad. Very bad.
How dare you? Okay, I'll stop.
I'm sorry, man.
No, I'm talking about just like even gameplay or whatever. Visually, the game is just outrageous. Like,
oh yeah, visually it looked pretty damn good
on a 4K TV, HDR, Xbox One. God damn! Like, God bless America. That shit looks amazing. Like, it looks so good. And it's not even made in America, but it looks amazing. I'll just say God bless America. Who cares? But no, like that. But no, like again, like you just said, now like Xbox One X is now kind of like. They're basically, I love how they're tooting the Sony horn of like, yo, you want to make shit, you want to play the best looking games possible, you're going to play them on this. And then Sony's like, well, it's not about graphics. Like, but that was your marketing forever. That was your marketing for like 2 years.
You want 4K? Well, we're the only console that does true 4K.
Yeah, like
we don't upscale. We don't stretch your pixels out.
Yeah, Microsoft thing basically. I love how Microsoft's just throwing that shit out there. Like, we can do this. Like, we can do this. We can do this. But Sony, their whole first like 3 years of marketing was making fun of Xbox and all the shit it didn't do. Like, the whole first press conference of E3 was just shitting on Microsoft left and right, and it worked because they sold so many more consoles. The whole like, here's how you share a game on PlayStation. I was like, watching that as an Xbox fan, I was like, I'm not too thrilled about that, but that shit was funny. Like, I'm sorry, it's really good.
Oh, it's where they broke it, right?
Yeah. Oh no. Like, they were like, here's how you share a game, and they just handed the game to another person because that was before Microsoft was clear on all their shit. That was before they were like, you can't trade in games. You can't. It's just like Microsoft again.
Right.
They came out and they were just like TV, Call of Duty, NFL, sports games, whatever. And then they were like, oh, by the way, here's this thing we're trying to do. And everybody was like, what? And again,
like, whoa, Microsoft, what are you doing?
And then Don Matrick had to open his fucking mouth, and he's like, oh, if you want a game console that doesn't require constant internet connection, buy a 360. And I'm like, you're an asshole for saying that. It's like, you're such a piece of shit. You just made this thing even worse. And thankfully now they've corrected course, and I love my Xbox. I always have, but like right now I'm like happy as shit that I got this thing. So
yeah, no. I mean, I haven't been fortunate enough to upgrade just yet. Maybe next year.
Do you have a 4K TV?
No, that's when I'm gonna get it. Once I get a 4K TV, that's when we'll upgrade.
Right. Like if you have a 4K TV, I'm not kidding you. I don't care if you own one already. It is 100% worth the upgrade. But if you honestly don't already own a 4K TV, it's seriously not that big of a deal. Like, I get it does super sampling and it makes 1080 look better, blah, blah, blah. Not worth another console for. But that's like everybody told me. The day I got the system, everybody was like, how is it? I'm like, well, it's amazing, but I also have the right TV for it. Like, I have a nicer 4K TV. Like,
you're really doing it justice.
Correct. Like, I got this thing to see what this TV can do with games now, and now that I have a console that can show me what it can do, I'm fucking blown away. But for people that don't, like, I know a guy who bought an Xbox One X and didn't have a 4K TV. I'm like, the fuck is wrong with you? Like, I guess if you got money to just throw around, cool, but like, dude, it's not $500 worth it. I also have.
it has a stronger processor, so your games will load faster.
Right, and games will load faster. I guess. But for me, $500 isn't worth loading faster. I was just like, whatever. That's whatever. My one friend also, at the time, he bought his Xbox One X. He was planning on getting a 4K TV. So then he came over, and he's like, hey, because I had the TV already. He's like, hey, show me show off the Xbox. Like, show me a game right now that's going to blow my fucking head apart. And then I showed him Gears 4. And he literally was just like, dude, what am I watching? I'm like, yeah, I know. It's really good. He's like, show me something else. And I popped in Halo 5. And he's like, what the fuck? Like, he was just like, he's like, I cannot believe how good this looks. I'm like, yeah, that's why I got this thing. And he's like, hey, what's a TV like this cost? I'm like, oh no. And then like, I'm not kidding you, like 4 days later, he sends me a picture of a TV in his car. Like, look what I just picked up. I'm like, get the fuck out of here, man. You went and bought a TV. He's like, you fucked me up, man. He goes, I saw it on your TV and I couldn't help it. I had to go do it. I'm like,
I sold a kidney.
Yeah, exactly.
On the black market.
Yeah, exactly. I just sold my soul to the devil. He got me this nice Sony 4K, you know, like, but again, he was just like, and then I got home and he was just sending me screenshots of shit. He's like, dude, look at Forza 7. Oh my fucking God. Look at the rain on the car and the reflection of a light. Holy like, we were just sharing screenshots back and forth for like a week straight of just like shit that looked ridiculous. So, but it's okay.
Side question. You think you felt a little dirty with a Sony TV but an Xbox?
No, because at the time, like I have a Samsung TV. I got like a KS8000, which is like at the time one of the better gaming TVs for the price. But then like the 2017 Samsungs like sucked for whatever reason. Like they just weren't that great. So he asked me, he's like, find a TV that's comparable. And I'm like, well, there's a Sony. And he's like, done. I don't care. He's like, will it look as good as your TV? I'm like, yeah, pretty much. And he's like, done. I don't care. And he picked it up and now the cycle continues because his brother came over and saw it and he's just like, shit, Assassin's Creed looks ridiculous in this TV. I'm like, there you go. That's how the cycle starts. But again, Microsoft maybe has some cahoots with the 4K TV people. Like, hey, let us just show this off. See what happens.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
That works. So
they're hustling everybody.
What are you playing nowadays?
Monster Hunter World.
Okay.
On my Xbox.
Everybody and their mother's playing Monster Hunter World.
Oh my God. I'm like 35-ish hours in on it. I was actually fiddling around with it while you were getting set up.
That's hilarious. Yeah, like Monster Hunter. So I've never played a Monster Hunter. My son has on the DS. He played the shit out of them. I bought it and I work from home. So occasionally if it's slow at work, I get to play games in between doing my job. The only thing that bummed me out, and I was really sad about this, is you cannot fully pause the game. Like, there's no just pause.
Dude, I'm right there with you. That's the only thing that was like, oh my gosh, why?
Yeah, so the problem is like all of a sudden if some shit happens and I gotta work real fast, I can't just pause the game. And I'm like, it's not online. Right now I'm playing by myself. Why can't I fucking pause this thing? And then, yeah, I mean, that's the only thing that's kind of bumming me out right now. But, I mean, apparently there was some article, I don't know if it was on IGN or whatever, it's the fastest selling Capcom franchise. Like that game is the fastest selling Capcom game ever. Like, it's insane. And I'm so happy it actually came to Xbox because they're at least seeing, hey, people on Xbox give a shit about these types of games. Like, maybe they'll start putting more shit on there because, you know what I mean? Like, it overtook PUBG as #1 paid game, like paid download game. I'm like, dude. Holy shit. Obviously, PUBG still has a lot of players. Like, it's still a way more popular game than Monster Hunter, but right now, Monster Hunter is fucking just taking everybody's time. And again, I just feel bad because I can't play it during work. So, like, that's why Assassin's Creed has been my friend lately. Because I can, by the way, pausing cutscenes. Quit fucking up, everybody. Make sure you put that in all of your games. Like, don't allow me to not pause a cutscene because that pisses me off. If I can't pause your cutscene,
yeah, because then you miss it if something important comes up.
Exactly. Like,
you're like, no, exactly. God, why?
I'm like, shit, I got to take care of this. All right. So, if obviously if people wanted to check you out, you have your own podcast with Chris. So feel free to promote yourself and all the things you do.
So we have our podcast. It's called Gaming Dad 101. It's a show about being a father and also being a gamer and experiencing those different interactions with your children, with your significant other, just in life in general, and also being a gamer. You know, like giving up sleep in order to not sacrifice family time, but also get that extra hour in for a hunt. And, you know, we talk about a lot of gaming news. Really, like, we focus a lot more on gaming, but, you know, every once in a while we'll get that snippet of parenting discussion and things like that. But, you know, we love interacting with our fans. We're kind of on the small side right now, but we talk with everybody that we possibly can. And, you know, we're growing very quickly and we're pretty excited about that. So if anyone wants to give us a drop by, it's not just for dads, it's for everybody. we get a couple ladies on there too, and they like to drop their input as well. And we really enjoy what we're doing. But I have a question for you.
Yes.
Since you do play Monster Hunter, how far are you?
Oh, not far at all. Like, very much not far. I got it the day the game came out, and again, I was playing it for, I'd say maybe like an hour or two, and then it literally got to a point where I'm just like, wait, what? No pausing? Fuck. So now it's like, I haven't had the time to like sit and play it without distractions to where, because again, I'm a dad as well. I have 3 kids.
Oh, yeah.
So like, if my 2-year-old gets into some shit, I'm like, I can't pause this game. So it's a
man.
So that's the only problem. But again, I get games that are like that. I understand your appeal around it and all, but like, as someone who can't devote 6-7 hours straight to a game like I'd like to, that's the only downside to it. I'll play it. I'm still down to play it. Obviously, I bought it. I bought it digitally so that way my son and I can share it, and yeah, we can play together and all that stuff. But like, yeah, I mean, it's just right now I haven't gotten a chance to get back to it. Assassin's Creed's been taking up most of my time just because that game is stupid big, and I can pause it. So that's the only reason why that game's got my interest for so long.
Oh, yeah. So I'll give you a piece of advice when you do get a snippet, and I won't ruin the story for you. Make sure that your controllers are charged for the love of God before fighting a big monster.
For the most part, yeah. I'm pretty good about that because I actually my Xbox is on every day, all day. So like, I actually just plug in the USB cable because my Xbox is right where I work.
That's smart.
So I just have the USB cable plugged in at all times. And I've gotten to a point where like, I forget sometimes that they're wireless. Like, I'm like, the fuck am I doing? I can just unplug this thing and play on the couch. I don't have to have this 9-foot cable going between me and the Xbox. But yeah, I've just kind of gotten used to it being plugged in. So I've regressed. I've gone back to the old school days where I'm like, this has to be plugged in, right? No, it doesn't have to be.
See, I literally scared the hell out of my dog, and I'm surprised I didn't wake my wife up one night because I was playing, and I was in the middle of fighting. I forget which monster it was, but my batteries died. My controller died right in the middle of fighting, and I'm like, oh god, no! So my charger is in the dog's room, so I literally had to sprint across the house to get another battery pack and pop it in, and I barely made it back in time to save my life. But yeah, going back to Gaming Dad real quick.
Yeah.
You can find us on Facebook, Gaming Dad 101. You can find us on Twitter. We're part of the Geek Endcast network. So you can find us at Geek Endcast, and you can even talk to me on Twitter, Gaming Dad Brian, as well.
And of course, I'll have links to the show notes. What's your gamer tag in case people want to play Monster Hunter?
Sensha Saigen, SENSHASAIGEN.
And I will have links in the show notes for all of the above. So if you want to check out his podcast, if you want to check him out on Monster Hunter, I'm sure he wouldn't, mind anybody else playing with him or anything. So.
Nah, man.
Absolutely.
If anyone's, I'm relatively new to the series, but if anyone needs hey, how do I charge plate or something, please come talk to me and I'll help you figure it out.
There you go. Well, dude, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate you being on and sharing all your stories, and hopefully people will play some Monster Hunter with you later.
Yeah, man, I look forward to it. And, if you happen to get a chance, maybe we'll hunt sometime too.
There you go. Sounds good, man. All right. Thanks again.
But thanks for having me on. Take care.
All right. And again, thank you, Brian, for being on the show. If you guys want to follow any of the stuff he is on Twitter at Gaming Dad Brian, all one word, no underscores or anything like that. They also have the Gaming Dad 101 podcast, so feel free to take a listen to that. And of course, I'll have links in the show notes for everything. So if you want to check any of the stuff out, it's all right there. If you guys want to be in the show just like he was, go ahead and send me a tweet at MitchPower1116 on Twitter, or at the podcast Twitter page, which is at GUG Podcast on Twitter. Also, we have a Facebook group, Growing Up Gaming Facebook group. Just search that up. You'll be finding it, no problems. Also, a website that I have gotten better at updating, thankfully, gugpodcast.com. So feel free to listen to that. Also, don't forget to share it with your friends. The more people that listen to the show, the more people want to be on the show, just like Brian. Chris was on the show. He heard the idea, asked to be on, and of course I loved it. So, again, thank you guys so much for returning each and every week. Hit that subscribe button. Go to iTunes and leave a good or bad review. Just let me know if I suck. It's okay. I might. I probably do, but no, I don't know. People say I'm nice. People say I'm doing a good job. As long as they say that, I guess that's all right. And again, thank you guys so much, and I will catch you guys next week. See ya.